So I just watched The Last Supper, which was directed and co-written by Mauro Borelli alongside John Collins. And the reason that I went to go see this is because I am a Christian, so I do kind of try and go see some Christian films in theaters to kind of support the Christian film industry. And this one was about Jesus and his disciples at the Last Supper, so I thought at the very least this will probably be like a decent enough retelling of that story, and this one was mostly bland and uninteresting, if I'm being honest. There's something I realized while I was watching this movie. This is gonna sound weird, but like Christian films that are set around like the time period of Jesus's life are kind of similar to Disney live action remakes. Like, it's bland retellings of stories that we've just kind of heard a lot, and there's one or two changes that are made to kind of make it seem fresh. Like, yeah, I just think about like the way that these kinds of stories were told in things like The Chosen, where it was very well written and the characters were interesting, or something like Passion of the Christ, which, whatever you think about that film, undeniably it tells the crucifixion story in a way we hadn't seen before, in a way that really shows how much pain Jesus went through for us. And in this one, the thing it tries to do to set it apart is that it focuses more on Peter. And that was kind of interesting at points. Like, there was a great scene with him and Judas close to the end of the film without going into spoilers. And since we're talking about Judas, Judas was insanely over the top in this film. It was ridiculous. Like, I know that, like, we know going in he's going to betray Jesus, but they make him insanely over the top in terms of how evil he is. Like, he's literally introduced wearing a cloak, like he's the Emperor in Star Wars or something. Like, he's always shifty, he's always sweaty. Like, there's a scene where he knocks a bowl out of a leper's hand. Like, they just try everything to make him seem as evil as possible. It was ridiculous. Like, they almost did something interesting with him, because there's one scene where a Roman official brings up how Judas had potential to do these great things in government and then threw that all away to follow Jesus, which was almost interesting and almost provided a bit of motivation for why he felt the need to betray Jesus. But it's never brought up again after that one scene, so they don't really do anything with that. There's also quite a few scenes in this where the devil will either speak to Judas or even appear to him, and every time it was insanely cheesy. Like, the devil is this like guy covered in soot, which looked stupid, and his voice was like incredibly reverbed, and it sounded ridiculous. I couldn't take any scene with that seriously. There are a lot of cheesy moments in this film, actually. Like, here's a perfect example. There is a scene in this film where Jesus is praying in a temple, and two Roman guards come up and see him, and they're whispering to themselves that they need to like report this to the officials, and they're whispering this in front of Jesus where he can clearly hear them. And like, we know he's not going to do anything about it, but they don't know he's not going to do anything about it. So they go tell Roman officials. Roman officials come back, and there's a person in the temple who's like right where Jesus is, and then they turn him around, and oh, it's not Jesus, it's someone different. Like, that scene was ridiculous. I almost burst out laughing in the theater. It was insanely cheesy. I couldn't take it seriously. And there's quite a few scenes like that in this film. It's like, how did you not realize this was a bit ridiculous? Like, there's also a lot of very obvious foreshadowing that I did not remember. Like, I know the whole point, like, I know in the Bible they do a lot of foreshadowing to sort of show the idea of prophecy, but in this film there's like stuff that was not in the Bible that's foreshadowed. Like, there's a scene where Peter is talking to Caiaphas, and Caiaphas asks if Peter is willing to die for Jesus, and it just foreshadows that he's not. So it's like, then there's quite a few scenes like that in the film, again, where they just have this, it's not profiting, it's foreshadowing, and it was very cheesy. And that's all of the story stuff that's like kind of a bit much. In terms of technicals, the acting is fine. It's like your kind of standard Bible film acting where everyone is very serious and sort of talking in this very serious tone throughout the whole film. The one performance I do want to shout out is Charlie McGeechan as John. He was actually pretty good. He showed like a pretty good range of emotions in this, even if he didn't have a ton of scenes where he particularly had the spotlight on him. Honestly, I kind of wish they had cast Charlie McKeechan as Jesus because I thought he was much better. And he actually reminded me of the actor who plays Jesus in The Chosen, who I think is very good. The cinematography in this was decent, and the music, it like ranged from like again your standard music you see in old time Middle Eastern films. And then there were some songs in the score that weirdly sounded like they were ripped out of a Christopher Nolan film. Which that was kind of an odd choice, but at least it was different, I guess. And one last technical thing I'll bring up, there were some scenes where like I was looking at the backgrounds, they kind of looked AI generated. Like I have no proof that AI was used in this film, but it looked kind of weird. Like some of the textures just didn't really look right in some of the backgrounds, especially the opening shot of the rocks being hit by the waves. If you watch the film, you'll know what I mean. It looks just kind of weird. I'm not saying it's AI, I'm saying it looks AI, and it wouldn't surprise me if it turned out it was. So yeah, overall, this was just kind of a bland retelling of a Bible story we've heard a lot of times before. And other Christians, like, maybe they'll enjoy it, but I'm gonna guess they'll probably agree with me that it's just kind of yet another Jesus's crucifixion story. Like even the family members I went to go see this with didn't like it, and they like a lot of these type of Christian films. So take that for what it's worth. And I'm gonna give The Last Supper a D. And if I'm being honest, like if the Christian film industry wants to make new films that are set in the Bible, then I say an interesting one to make would be the story of Peter between Jesus' crucifixion and his own crucifixion, because I bet there's some really interesting stuff you could do with that, and that story hasn't really been told. So, yeah, Christian film industry, you want to keep making Bible films? Tell that story. That could be interesting. So those are my thoughts on The Last Supper. Be sure to let me know what you thought about the film down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to see more reviews like this in the future. And on that note, I will see you next time. Have a great day.